presence, doubt physical presence of any worthy to dethrone king. Pitiful presence, my mannerism is evidence G. OAT lessons, I'm free to live or die akin to Uncle Sam. Sessions 24 and 24, he's 24. I count my blessings, August 197724. Pamela spread them, doctor said push. A head in the chest, thighs and toes. 1 year after 23, my homie's eyes closed. I arose to the realization time is cold.
Welcome to another episode of Outside the Algorithm, where you'll discover a universe of independent voices. I am your host, Samuel Patrick. Today is Thursday, September 29th, 2022, and we are broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at LFOD Life. Thank y'all for joining us. I'm checking in from Los Angeles, California, and tonight's guests are joining from the East Coast, New Jersey and Boston, I believe, but I'll let them tell you. What about y'all? Where y'all tuned in from? This is a pretty good example of what we can do here. We're able to bring your comments up on the screen if you drop them. So if you let us know where you're tuned in from, we can bring that on the screen. I like to see where the reach is at. This is a good way to get going. You can jump in during the conversation as well, and we'll get your comments, questions to the artists. We'll be reading them live all night. Do not hesitate. If you're really passionate, we can even get you on screen potentially. We are joined tonight by Tiye Phoenix, Cliff Notes, HAAWWS, and possibly X Academy. We'll see. We'll be bringing them up one at a time. They'll have the option to stick around and continue the combo with each other and y'all. But without further ado, I want to get into this. We got the homie Cliff Notes in the building. What's good?
What's poppin'?
Man,
how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's hot here. I just got here, and the dude who had the apartment before me swore he didn't use any air conditioning in the summer, and either he's not.
That doesn't sound realistic.
No, so that's why we got a different background. If people have been watching, usually I have like a blue background, and I have like the Hollywood lights, but they're just too hot today. So we're using natural, all natural everything. But I appreciate
That's
you.
How it should be.
You said what?
That's how it should be, all natural everything.
Man, you already know. I appreciate you tapping in with us because I understand this is very rare. I understand. I remember so this show is actually, it spiraled out of what we were doing in 2020 when we were live on Instagram every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And you popped up at that. I remember you were like, Sam, I don't do this. I don't want to do this, but like, I want to know what's up with you. So I always just look forward to catching up with you, you know?
Yeah, I'm very selective of my social engagements for sure. But for Uncle Sam, the man, I gotta pop up every now and then.
I appreciate it. I really do. It's funny because I was reading to prepare. If y'all don't know Cliff Notes, award-winning multi-digital media artist, musician, entrepreneur, and filmmaker. Art is a continuous exploration of the Black mind. That's what it says on Berkeley.
Oh yeah, I do stuff with Berkeley.
So it's funny because I know you, but then I read your bio sometimes. I'm like, what? I don't know any of that. Like I feel like I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know who writes my bio anymore. It's just there.
Really? Well,
yeah, my bio has changed so many times, so often, but I think that what you read is pretty true. Pretty accurate so far.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to add? Like, what's going on in your world personally right now that you'd put on your bio if you were writing it?
Right now, I'm like, history is like everything and anything for me. So that's my baby. That's been my child. Most people who know me know that. Other than that, I've just been like full mental health, physical health, recuperation, and I'm feeling great.
Nice. Yeah, you said you've been off the phone.
Yeah, man. my close friends know that if you're trying to reach me, it's gonna be a while if you're trying to reach me via phone. Um, there's just so much. The phone is such a it's such a it's like so it's not a healthy thing, and I'm very far apart from it while still maintaining a bunch of different businesses. But yeah, I'm not as attached to my phone these days.
That's a superpower, to be honest.
I love it. It's one of my favorite feelings. Like it reminds me where I'm at and where I'm supposed to be.
And salute to you for doing the businesses with it, because I know we had some stuff come up, and so the people that were doing our social media had to take a step back for a minute. And it was like right when stuff got busy. So I've been on like 5 different accounts on here, and I can feel my brain falling apart. Like I can feel myself starting to like instinctively just pick it out. And like, I know I'm supposed to be posting or responding, and like, I'm looking forward to getting to where you're at, but it feels like as an independent, like business person or an entrepreneur, like it's almost impossible. So like, how do you navigate that?
I got a great team around me. I got some really amazing folks who have been growing with me, or even the folks that are just tagging along for the first time in the last year. They understand the vision and the goals that we're trying to achieve, and they sign in and they're locked in. And so communication amongst the team is great, and they all understand my needs, and they all understand the needs of the whole organization. So that's been great.
That's fire. You got your mission statement all laid out.
I've been studying Jay-Z.
Yeah, they get onboarded. Shout out, speaking of team, shout out Kiki.D in the building. She loves hearing about my mental health deteriorating. One of her favorite topics. Word, man. So anyway, I definitely salute you for that. And like Hipstery, it looked like you guys did a takeover in Fort Point this summer. That looked pretty massive. I feel like a lot has been going on in Boston, and you know, it started up again right when I left.
Yeah, History's been doing a lot. There's some things that I even have trouble keeping up with. Like we have the gallery out in Fort Point. We have been doing this consistent activation with MIT. Like we just had a show today with the Bridgeside. We've been taking over the MIT open space. And then we've also been looking at the podcast world and the digital space. And we're just trying to assert ourselves everywhere that we need to be.
Absolutely. Do you have anything big coming up specifically that you want to talk about, or just people need to follow at Hipstery and set the notifications for on?
Yeah, I think that you should definitely follow the Hipstery and put the notifications for on. Right now, I've been doing this podcast with Double Elvis, the folks who produce like Disgraceland, and we have this podcast called Lust for Live, which has been like just a horn of just like what's happening in the city culturally, event-wise, and every week we just put out a 15-minute podcast of this is what's happening this week. So a big part of what I've been doing is just been putting a spotlight on the city and all the beautiful stuff that's been happening here.
That's at Lust for Live.
Yeah, Lust for Live. Boston, you can follow us at Lust for Live, BOS, at all the Instagram, Twitter, or wherever you get your podcast. But every
right, I was going to say you're on all the podcast apps as well.
Yep.
That's fire. And if folks don't know what Hipstery is, I would encourage them to maybe go back and watch one of the like many LFOD radio interviews where you or Tim or Oompa or like anybody came on, because like it's been documented.
We've been doing this for a while. Yeah, we're growing, and I'm excited about our growth. We've been doing
absolutely. I am too. What's that?
We've been doing a lot. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, man. And it's been awesome to watch, and salute to you for keeping it going. I mean, I remember back when it was like, it was maybe an artist collective, and then I've been at basement shows. Then the next thing I knew, you guys were taking over the Museum of Fine Arts, and then like now you're at MIT. Like it's inspirational for sure, and we appreciate it. And I know it's not easy to keep that going.
Yeah, it's tough. The team is great. The family is strong, and that's what keeps us going.
Fire. And shout out Kiki. She's in here. She says, we're both examples of how social media coordinators became a popular job. we just said, no, not me. Also, shout out to the Horn. She likes that description of Lust for Live. And I got to shout out the homie Liquid one time, a.k.a. Faye, who y'all might know her as. She told me, you got to get Cliff Notes on here. And I linked up with her down in Colombia when I was there earlier this month. And another very organic relationship that's just continued to roll throughout the years. So if y'all don't know who she is, she's on an earlier episode of Outside the Algorithm Live. You can check that out.
Hey.
My guy, I know you got a lot going on, but I wanted to say, again, like looking at your bio and being like, who is this dude again? 5 film festival victories in over 20 global festivals. That's a 250 batting average. That's not bad at all. Like, what are these films?
Oh, wow. It's way more than 5 now. I just want to say that first of all.
Okay, we need a new bio writer. That's next up.
Yeah, we've been making short films since I was in grad school, and just making these kind of short films that have been doing really well in the film festival circuit. And we've still been making some stuff, but now we're thinking bigger and thinking about what the next step is, and that's jumping into what Hollywood looks like. So we have a bunch of different projects that are now in the Hollywood sphere, whatever that means, because it just means things just take a lot longer to happen. But we're going to be excited for folks to see what that looks like in the next couple of years when those finally get released.
Does that mean I might catch you on the West Coast soon?
Oh, I'm already on the West Coast. History Ready is on the West. We're already there. We're right behind you. You didn't even know.
I mean, you personally, physically on the West Coast.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's a few writers' room that I have to be flown out there for it to do. So I'll be out on the West Coast eventually, but I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Yeah, fire, man. I'd love to link up. I would absolutely, I would love that for sure. Show you around, I guess. We'll see. Although I've been finding some dope stuff, some real good beat shows. Shout out Scenario. I've been popping up at a lot of, there's a lot of DJs out here I'm rocking with. Too many to name. It's been pretty healthy out here. And it's funny. I love that y'all are, I didn't even know it, like you said.
That's the goal of history is, I mean, as a digital media company, is that we just want to be everywhere, but we don't want to be in your face. We want it to be real casual.
Quiet money.
Yeah.
My guy. So I appreciate you tapping in. Hit me if anything. I would love to like just chop it up, in general, like, friend to friend here. So I know it's hard, but if you're ever inspired, you got my number. It hasn't changed. I'm 3 hours behind, so you can hit me late night. I'll be chilling. And the folks can tap in with you at Cliff Notes, 2 Z's, correct?
2 Z's.
Everywhere. Don't sleep, though. Do not sleep. And my guy, I sincerely appreciate you tapping in. We'll send this to you after the fact. You can share the word, spread the word. Lust for Live Boston, that's weekly, right?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, you get a new episode. Tap in with them. Shout out Double Elvis. Shout out Cliff Notes. Peace. Be well. Hipstery,
Peace.
absolutely. That's the fam. Much love. Peace. Huge shout out, Cliff Notes. Few words, all of them potent. It's been really healthy getting to know them over the years, from back like way back, before people even knew they rapped. We're going to be jumping into our next guest here momentarily, but first I got to ask y'all, if you are enjoying this, please share the live, whether you're tuned in live or whether you're watching the replay. I know you know one or two music fans out there who are going to enjoy themselves, so you can go ahead and shout out to my guy G.I.'s, share the live. Plus, if you'd like to explore more music, art, and conversations, you can head on over to lfod.life, and over there you will find quite a few things going on. We just dropped the alumni cipher. The Hoop Hop cipher is on the way. There's mad interviews and more. Plus, you can become a member for exclusive content and a deeper involvement in the process. And shout out Kiki.D holding down the comment section. Y'all are welcome to jump in here as well with your questions and comments. We're going to keep it pushing with HAAWWS. This has been a conversation in the making for sure. We've been sharing his music on Stamped, on LFOD radio, all over the place. I've been hearing his name. People have been calling me about him, all sorts of stuff. So welcome to the stage, y'all. Please, HAAWWS. What's going on, my guy?
What's going on? Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for pulling up. We appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to talk some music. Talk whatever we want to talk, whatever we're doing.
Before we get into that, it is HAAWWS, right? I've heard HAAWWS
it is
before.
HAAWWS.
Okay.
Nah, it's definitely HAAWWS. HAAWWS. I know. It's spelled the long way, but it's pronounced like HAZ. I've heard people even say things like, they'll people will try to make jokes and they'll be like, oh, you the HAAWWS avocado, like a HAAWWS avocado, and it's like it's funny, but it's flattering.
You don't want to be called an avocado.
And I definitely don't want to be called an avocado or mistaken for one, but avocados are good too. Yeah, they serve their space in life.
What's the inspiration behind the name?
Honestly, it's kind of a name that was just given to me, and it's kind of just stuck over time to where it's kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say take on a personality of its own, but more so kind of just what I go by now. You know how they say that, like, everybody has like a nickname origin story. I kind of feel like mine's is roughly unique, but it's not, that interesting. Kind of got the name from a basketball coach. I went to Madison for some time, and I established sort of a relationship with Dennis Wilson. He was the coach there, and that's kind of the name he gave me. Originally, he was calling me Sauce, and it was people on the team that were just telling him there already had been a Sauce and different things of that nature. So you had to find something new. So and just over time, he was thinking of different things, and I feel like HAAWWS is kind of what stuck with everybody, and so from that point on, it's just been HAAWWS ever since.
Fire. I appreciate the breakdown. I did hear you played a little bit of basketball. You ever hit the court still, or you put the hoop games behind you?
Yeah. I ran into a small incident this past summer, so I'm gonna call it I went ahead and called it quits for basketball, but I let a sport. I still let a game, but I had to let that go.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I wasn't ever I was a defensive player. I put it that way. But It's been so long since I've touched a ball. Like, I'm not scared, but I'm definitely not like gonna do it with too many people around the next time I pick it up. It's It's one of those feelings. It can go by real fast once you start doing music and stuff, and you're just not. Shout out to homies at Hoop Hop. I gotta give them love though.
We gotta get you out there on the court for Hoop Hop one of these years, man.
No, I'm behind the camera. I bring the camera.
Okay. I respect it.
So you started out as a baller, and so from there, you ended up starting to make music. How long have you been doing the music thing? Like, because you came onto our radar maybe 2 years ago. Your management reached out. I know you've had a manager like since the beginning, it seems like, which is fire. And you reached out to us, and then we've heard some records. We spun the Evils joint on the radio. Definitely spun a few things. We did the Stamped feature. So like you've been slowly building, and you keep sending us more and more things. How long have you been at this though?
I feel like it's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of the homies about that earlier. A friend of his asked, and I feel like I've always been that dude that was like rapping or whatever. I kind of had that rap element to him. Like if we're back in high school, if there's someone making a beat on the table, I'm more than likely the guy that was freestyling. But actually getting into the studio, as far as I can remember, I want to say it was early as about 2015. But even then, I kind of wasn't confident in the stuff that I was creating and working on at the time. So I kind of was in one of the spaces as an artist. I didn't never want to jump into this and just you know, oh, okay, this is not. I understood taking the time and building process and developing integrity with your work and kind of what you're working on and kind of honing into what your sound's gonna be, who you're gonna be as an artist. So it took a lot of going into the studio, trial and error before I got comfortable with the stuff that I've been working on, the material. And I honestly don't think it was until around 2018 that I had put some records out, but very under the radar, let a few people know and whatnot. And it kind of just was going by the feedback. And then in 2020 is when I feel like I really started to ramp things up because I just looked at it as it's kind of like now or never in a sense. And it was at this point, what am I waiting for? I had been confident in the work by that point, but it was just more so doing things the right way. I can be extremely particular about that sometimes.
Man, that's a tricky spot because where we're at now, where it is simple to put out music, you can have people who are probably putting things out before they need to. But then you can also get stuck in I feel like, at least personally, and from what I've seen, the growth happens as an artist like after it's out in the world. So you can also get stuck in this place where you're constantly tinkering and you never put anything out.
Exactly.
So shout out to you for opening the door and putting it out.
That's another thing about being, I feel like kind of developing self-awareness as an artist. Like for anybody getting into this, you kind of just you gotta know when you're overthinking it, and you gotta have those people around you that can be dope. I know you mentioned I said you feel like I've had a manager since the beginning. I definitely have had help, from different people along the way, but I felt like more recently when the management I am with now, and who I got helping me now has kind of been what is helping to scale some of the things I have, and then even with bringing some of the ideas that I have to life, we have this thing idea to operation. So that's kind of how we work. Trying to make sure that we can operate on everything that we're thinking about. So it definitely has been dope, but it's been pretty quick though. I will say for myself, it's just as far as getting into the scene and I guess being accepted or whatever the case may be, and then receiving that feedback from different fans and just the scene out here in general. It's been dope too so far.
I love it. We got Kiki in the building too, saying you're looking like Kyrie out here. So
looking like Kyrie. Hilarious.
I'm gonna, can I give you a little bit of feedback real quick?
Yeah.
The rocking chair might be making some folks seasick.
Okay. My apologies. I'm real comfortable here at the studio
You look
right now.
super comfortable, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I want to make sure we don't have to put an epileptic warning before we drop this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
now we got the boxing unicorn, so we're out here. So you were saying though, your acceptance is moving quick, and just the way you talk about it seems kind of methodical. One thing that I only know about you what I've been told. And one thing I've heard is that you are a guy that does your research. And it seems like you do have this, if not a student, definitely an interest in figuring out how this thing works versus just like this wild, pursuit. Could you talk about that a little bit? I know partially what I'm referencing is I know I've seen some other interviews or clips of them where it does seem like you're aware of what's gone on in Boston before you arrived on the scene.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of got to be. You got to be a student of this thing in its totality too, as well. And I kind of not just. I don't just try to focus that on what I do as a hip hop act or a rap artist. Kind of just music in general. But I don't ever say that I turned like a blind eye or would look the other way of what was going on as I was coming up. I will say, in all honesty, there was a period of time in my life where, I was focused on sports and some other things that for a conversation for another time, that where I would say music wasn't necessarily my focus. So the things that were going outside, unless it was very loud, like you had a very large buzz, I can't say that I'm familiar with everything, but for the most part, I do know. And the student in the game just comes with like part of it is an interest, but also the understanding that there's something larger here at play. And to really be one of those ones, and it's you kind of have to be a student, you have to be studying the game. I study hip hop in and out. I just study music in general in and out, but more specifically hip hop. And understanding that there's a lot of people who came before me, a lot of those individuals were right here in my city. And you just kind of got to know that to know where you're going. You definitely got to know where you came from to know where you're going. So I kind of make that a part of my pursuit as I continue to do this hip hop thing.
Absolutely, especially with a history like Boston,
Especially.
Where are you going?
Where am I going? Well, I like to think in terms of short terms. So as of right now, after we finish up here, I'll be going into the studio to grab some files that I actually left over from a session. Silly me, could be clumsy like that. That's why you got to remember, anybody watching, you got to remember, have someone remind you to bounce everything out at the end of your sessions, because you do not want to be wasting time coming back to the studio. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't.
Let me double down on that. Not only bounce everything out, but bounce an acapella, a show mix, and a clean version for radio. Every time.
Okay, we schooling them. Yeah. Get your mixes.
Do it right when you're in there. It's worth it. Just so you have it on you.
No, that's for sure. But yeah, in short terms, I'm going into the studio. Long term, I'm here. I'm in Boston right now, working on getting the deluxe out. We got Not Safe for Work, the deluxe, coming out real soon. So we just been preparing that. We got some other things planned, but for right now, I'm in the city, so I definitely just feeling the vibe. I like Boston in the fall time, in the summer and the fall. Yeah, the winter is that, but the fall is the vibe.
Fall is so good, man. I'm out here and I'm already thinking about. I used to get tricked, like not for nothing. Like I always, February kills me. January kills me. You walk outside and just get smashed in the face, and I'm like, what am I doing here? But then summer always comes around and I forget, and I stay. I kept saying I'm gonna go. This is the last winter, and fast forward like 10 winters. Finally I was like, okay, I gotta make a break for it.
Nah, I feel you, bro. But it's about expansion, though. It's dope. Like especially seeing a lot of our creatives and in a sense, cultural leaders kind of move out and expand into these different markets, and it kind of allows the ecosystem we have in the scene here to grow. So I've also been behind the scenes been super appreciative of that, because it's growing what we have here, and creating a larger space for those coming up in in the future. So the growth is, I know we always want to get back to Boston, but the idea is to grow at the end of the day. So we definitely got places to go.
You got to, man. You have to. It's funny because you got to hit the road. It's the only way. And trust me, there's been a lot of moments where we're like, we can do it and we don't have to leave. And it would be awesome if you didn't have to. But the more and more time I spend, it seems like you do have to, at least for a period of time, or at least travel. because you just got to hit
Yeah.
these other cities. And the love is different on the road. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it whenever possible, but always like feeding back, always feeding back. You know, it's a loop. And
Yeah.
speaking of
Boston
which,
is. Yeah.
oh, sorry, what's that? What's that?
No, I was just gonna say Boston is a unique city, so you definitely for all of the homegrown artists or mass artists, I would definitely say you have to come back. You have to come back because you're not only your city needs you, but there's a unique story to tell being an artist from Boston, and you kind of have to be here in order to be in that essence to tell that story. In my opinion, I don't think you can tell that from somewhere else. So if you definitely, if that's kind of your goal and you want that to be your stamp, and you want people to know that from like what it is that you're trying to portray as an artist, or the message that you're pushing is mass or Boston related or Boston proper, whatever you however you want to package it up, you definitely have to be here for that. But like you said, just travel as much as you can if that's the case as well, because there is a world out there, and your fans are in that world. And
Exactly. And they're really out there, and
yeah,
you're competing with national artists too. You're not actually competing with anyone from Boston. That's the other thing. You're competing with people's headphones, or they're getting hit with people with $1 million ad budgets from around the country. Like that's who you're competing with.
yeah,
And Boston sharpens you up in a way that I don't think everyone. You can't sleep on it because it's so DIY and it's so hard, and you have to do everything yourself. And when
yeah,
you can be surprised when you go other places because you're just ready to do 7 different jobs, and like there everyone has like a specific job for that one thing, you know.
exactly. And not even just for my musical or performance acts, because I know this is LFOD, so we talking culture. So there may be some other creatives in here as well that do some different stuff. So just as far as your art in general, a big part of art is discovery. So exploration, travel. So just getting out there, and because I know some, you mentioned the competing, that aspect. I know sometimes a lot of people hear competition or just any type of challenge, they become discouraged. But just traveling, moving around in a sense, because not just because it's beneficial for you and your career as an artist, but because it's beneficial for you as an artist and what you're trying to do and the messages and what you want your work to stand for. Traveling opens up your mind. So I would always recommend that to any artist in any form, in any medium. Travel as much as you can. Great artists have told me that, so I would just extend that, down to whoever.
It absolutely does, because you just get a feel for how people are. Like more of our similarities pop out, And
Exactly.
as far as competition, steel does start sharpen steel, So
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of that. Like I love when other, people pop up doing the same stuff, because it's like, oh, cool. I can't slack. I got to do
Exactly.
this. I got to do that. Or if you're performing, damn, they did. Like some people get mad about whether you use backing tracks or not, for example. And
Hmm.
it sometimes, honestly, it takes someone without backing tracks to go in and body a room without them. And then you go, oh, I got to step it up. Or maybe someone bodies it with them and you're like, damn, okay, you can go that way. But you have to see someone execute. And
Yeah. In
it
order to
helps
know where you
everyone
can
in the
improve.
room.
Exactly.
I'm with it. So we didn't even talk about your album, but I just want to shout you out because like everything I've heard about you has been super solid. I heard you're definitely a community dude. You're there for the people. You're like in the mix in the city, and I know you know what's going on, and I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up about stuff. You got Not Safe for Work out right now. The
Right
deluxe
now,
on the way.
the deluxe on the way. It's a vibe. It's an experience. We got a lot of things planned, some dope stuff planned. And for those that is watching, I can't really see the chat from like how this is set up. But if you have some time, we got murals up. We got a mural up on School Street over in JP. Check that out. We worked with a dope graffiti artist for that. And if you see his work elsewhere, then you can check that out as well. But that's really dope. And then we just got a lot of dope stuff planned. But yes, Not Safe for Work streaming now. on all platforms, everywhere you can find music, and it's HAAWWS. And I'm wherever you got cellular service or Wi-Fi, I'm there.
That's fire. I want to say about the album before we dip. I noticed you like the beat selection was interesting to me. Almost go so far as to say it's like experimental. Like there were a few you rapped on that like you didn't have to rap on, and I thought that I always think that's interesting. Where it's like you picked this beat, huh? Like
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of the whole idea behind it being experimental, as well as like some other components. But it's dope to see everybody's kind of like interpretation of what they feel it is. But I feel like, I mean, that is that is interesting, the point that you just made about the music specifically, because it's the first I've heard that. But I think, yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. I just wanted to try something different. And I feel like that's kind of just where I'm at with my artistry. I'm kind of in my abstract right now as an artist. And for those who know what that means, you know. But
right.
it's a vibe though. It's a vibe. I just hope everybody's ready for the journey, because it's definitely going to be a long one.
We're ready. Yeah, it stuck out to me just because I've been hearing your music. I've heard so many different sounds from you, to be honest. Some of them might only be in my inbox. I don't know if they ever made it out like into the world. You know what I mean? Like I've heard some different. I've heard you kind of find that pocket. So I salute you for keeping going with it and for keeping it moving. And
Thank you.
You got my info. Definitely, let's chop it up. About whatever. I might hit you about some things after. And like you said, one more time, I'm gonna bring it full circle. So all this traveling and all that, the whole goal with this platform, with LFOD in general, is just connecting the dots. And my idea is I'm meeting people, but also introducing them to each other and to the world and to fans, other artists. So anybody who's been on here, who sees anybody that's come on here or has been involved in any way, I'm here to bridge the gap, make those connections, and that's really all I'm doing with it. So if there's anyone watching is trying to link up with, that I can help you reach, get in touch with, or anything we can build on in that way, definitely into that. Whether it's the homies in LA now or down in, shout out to South, gave me so much love last week. Charlotte tapped in with Kendi for the first time, Phase God down there, Lord Jamonte Ogban. I was in Atlanta, linked up with Nonsense, who we interviewed the month before, DJ Kerosene, Flocka, Stay Positive. We're at the cookout. Like, it just, there's people all over the map now. So I'm here to help bridge those gaps and connect them however possible, because there are a lot of talented artists that I've been fortunate to meet on my travels in Boston and elsewhere. So happy to bring it home. I appreciate you, my guy. It's HAAWWS everywhere, right like that, right?
HAAWWS everywhere.
Anything you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to before we get out of here?
Anything I wanted to say that I didn't get a chance to? Let me think. You might have caught me. You might have stumped me with that one.
All right. Well, you're welcome back whenever. Just let me know.
Yeah. Thank you again. Thank you for having me. And I know you out in sunny LA, so I'll be out there. We definitely connect on something. Grab some Starbucks.
We're not getting. I'll show you some coffee. You know, hit me up though.
Okay.
All right. Peace. Shout out HAAWWS. Yeah, definitely. Anyone in LA, let me know. I'm out here. Been taking a lot of photos, videos, all sorts of stuff. So we can definitely get busy. Before we get into our final guest, one more time, I want to remind y'all to please share the live. Whether you're tuned in right now or you're tuned in tomorrow, next week, next month, let your friends know what is going on over here. This has been totally organic the whole way, and we're going to keep it rolling like that. You can also hit LFOD.life if you're just getting here and you want to know what we have going on. It's a whole lot happening. But now I am happy to bring to the stage, make some noise, y'all, for Tiye Phoenix. What's happening? You are muted.
I was. I'm sorry. I muted myself earlier.
I appreciate the professionalism.
Yeah.
So welcome. We got connected. You recently dropped "Who Are We" with HAAWWS and Safa. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly.
It's who we are.
Who We Are. My fault. Who
It's
We
okay.
Are with HAAWWS and Safa. There's a video out. We spun the record on the radio, spun some stuff in the past, and shout out Black Fist Promo for keeping us in the loop with what's going on and making this connection. It's nice to meet you. Welcome.
It's nice to meet you too. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. I was looking some stuff up about you. I'm going to start with the AKAs.
Okay.
You describe yourself as the New World Reporter, an astro-lyricist, a retro-futurist. Can we get into like one or all of those?
We can get into all of those, definitely. New World Reporter, that's funny. I like this, where this is going already. Questions I didn't see coming. I like that. New World Reporter is basically like the world is transforming, and for some people that's a great thing, and some people that's a not so great thing. It just depends on what side of the fence you're standing, right? But one way or the other, we're going to end up in a new world. Whether you wake up and it just happens to be like you look around and you just happen to be in a completely new global environment, like, oh shit, everything changed. The financial landscape is different. My immediate surroundings are different. Like, oh shit, there was a major volcano and now I live on an island. And like, you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like the world is gonna be new, whether the circumstances just somehow happen that way or whether we actually consciously create it. Okay. So one way or the other, it's gonna be new world, and I'm gonna be live on the scene reporting about it. But reporting live from our brand new world, new Gaia. That's me.
It might be imminent, I would even say, if we're not already experiencing it.
Oh yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It's exciting. I mean, it's like, you have this tingle like under your skin because you can feel it, and just like anything else that would be built, that's built, you have people playing very specific roles in that process. So a reporter, you need the reporter, you need that person that's right there, like that reporter that's standing right in the middle of the hurricane down in Florida, like, and you're watching the reporter, like, will you get the hell out of there? Or you end up like being airlifted 1,000 feet in the air while we're watching it live, But no, that's really what the New World Reporter moniker is about. Just like whether through rhyme, or just however I choose to communicate my message. Could be through TikTok posts, could be anything, but I'm going to be right there giving you the necessary, very urgent commentary.
Well, we appreciate that. And the others were astro-lyricist and retro-futurist. These were just a few that popped out at me. You had a whole list.
Okay, I did.
Yeah.
There were more. There were more, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Astro-lyricist. Well, I'm a professional astrologer as well. So, astrology plays a role in everything that I do. But one of the things I like to, share with people is that astrology plays a role in everything that we all do, even if you're not conscious of it, And so every now and then, I get a chance to, explain to people if I'm communicating on my platforms, whether like I said, through live or post, I try to drop, useful information. And then, of course, I have astrology clients. So, yeah, astro, lyricist. I mean, astrology just shows up throughout life in general. People don't, I think it's not really something that was, I guess, emphasized as we were, learning in, these different subjects in school. But everything, say you think Saturday is not named after Saturn, it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to remind people, just like, and just there's so many words, there's so many different just facets of life that are pretty much an extension of the relationship we have with the movement of the celestial bodies and the planets that we now call astrology. But so, yeah, astrolyricist and retrofuturist is, there's a word Sankofa, which means to go back, in order to go forward, you have to go back. That's what Sankofa means. So I think retrofuturist could be like a synonym for that. Like, you're involved in your past and but you're still optimistic about your future, but yet you're still in the present, like somebody type Sankofa.
Did I spell it right?
Sankofa?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, Google that, folks. Word, I love that. Yeah, it's all, the present is all we have. It's funny about the astrology. I was just having a day on Monday, and I tweeted, I was like, is it a retrograde or something? And I got the 6 planets, this, that, the third. And I was like, y'all need to warn me, because I was just out here. Mine has all been technologically based. I've been fortunate this time around, but
well,
right.
Like you said, Mercury retrograde is the one that people speak about the most. That's the retrograde that you hear about the most. But Mercury's not the only planet that is retrograde. As a matter of fact, Mercury retrograde, the retrograde motion ends on Saturday. So Mercury's it happens the most often. It happens 3 times a year. So we're pretty much almost out of that. But the Pluto retrograde, the Uranus retrograde, the Chiron retrograde, the Neptune retrograde, they're going on for the rest of the year. So they've been retrograde. Yeah, they've been retrograde for months,
Okay. Did you get to, I don't know if you saw this, earlier this year, all 6 of the planets lined up on the horizon with the moon. Did you get outside and see that? You had to get up at sunrise to catch it.
I remember that. I remember that alignment. I did not see it. No. The funny thing is, when it comes to eclipses and, actually watching some of these celestial events, I really don't. You would be surprised. And I don't have a telescope. But I can actually spot, learned and train myself to know which stars are which, and based on the position of the moon at a certain point. If I know the moon, let's say that day I know the moon is in Aries that day. Yeah. So I see this bright star next to the moon. I know that's Jupiter.
Gotcha.
Because Jupiter's in Aries right now. And Jupiter's the brightest star, the biggest planet in the solar system. So I had to just learn, kind of, I guess the ancients would have learned before telescopes were invented. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I will say this, in terms of astronomy and not astrology, I am not, a seasoned astronomer.
They're two very different things.
Yeah, I'm not, but I do know, like I said, in terms of some of the constellations, based on just looking with my naked eye, to some degree. Now, I don't want to say, oh, she's an astronomer. No, but definitely, an astrologer, without a doubt.
I like to know where the Big Dipper is at. That's about it. When I can't see it, I'm like, how do I get home?
Do you know where to find the Big Dipper? Do you know?
Usually it's huge, and you can find that, and then from there you can get the North Star. But it's usually sort of down near the horizon. But I just go out and spin around and look and I like to be oriented, I like to know my position on the planet for the most part.
That's good. That's better than most people don't even care.
It's kind of wild, but you don't need to care necessarily unless your phone dies, then you're in trouble. But so I wanted to get into your, like, a little bit into your music as well. If Google is to be believed, you've been rhyming since at least 1999. Is this true?
At least.
At least. Congrats. Like, salute. It's that's a run. It takes a while. Like, it takes a lot to keep that going. Like, from the passion to the grind to all of that.
Well, you have your moments.
Oh, you had your, like, forget it, I'm done moments?
I mean, I think that's normal, that your feelings may change or fluctuate from time to time, depending on life, because life happens while you make music. You know what I mean? Life, you know, there's somebody right now who, you know, was planning on recording in their studio in Florida tonight. And their studio is like submersed in water right now. You know what I mean? Life happens, you know, but a week after that or a month after that, if you go, you know what, I'm not stopping. I have to make music. You're going to find a way to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even if your mood has been affected by some life event or whatever, because what is life? You know, it's the dash in between the moment you were born and the moment that you're out of here, right? It's that dash. So inside that dash, we're going to have graduations. We're going to have births. We're going to have funerals. We're going to have, you know, I relocated. We're going to have, oh, I got a new job. Oh, I'll fuck that job. I quit that job. Like, you know what I mean? That dash is filled with a series of different events. So you're going to have like experiences where you're like, all right, music can wait a second. I got to deal with this. And then you're going to be like, you know what? I have so much to say. I had a dream where I downloaded these ideas or these bars. I've got to get this out. And it just doesn't go away. So I figured that if I've been rhyming since 1996 or 1896, and I'm still alive and breathing in 2022, it's because I'm still supposed to be communicating and getting this music out. You know, if you have a purpose, you got to fulfill it, you know?
You better.
Been rhyming since 1796. I was there when they signed the Declaration of Independence.
Listen, I believe it. Whatever you say. That's fire. I appreciate you dropping that perspective, because it can feel very like all or nothing, I feel like, for folks. And some folks will let their life fall apart because they won't put the music down. And other folks will think if they put the music down, they can't pick it back up. So I appreciate you illuminating that a bit.
I think it's something, you know, what is that saying? If you love someone and you let them go and they come back, you know what I mean? You know that.
If you love them, let them go. If they come back, it's meant to be.
It was meant to be, right? And that doesn't just apply to people.
Okay.
That applies to anything, I guess, that you can love. You know what I mean? Like, there's people, you know, in my neighborhood, one of my neighbors put up a sign because her cat, like, she opened their door, like a slide glass door, and I guess the cat got out. But my cat, I let him out from time to time and he comes back. So the point is, if you open the door and the cat or the dog or whatever left and they didn't come back, that's it. They were meant to go. You know what I mean? It's a harsh reality, but that's kind of the approach that you know, you have to take with anything. If you say, you know what, I still have this burning desire in my soul, or, you know, and we're here. I'm a firm believer, you know, I definitely underscore the importance of this to my astrology clients. We're here for a purpose. Everyone has a specific purpose. Some people have a very massive purpose. Some people, not so much, but you're here for a reason. And if you are connected to whatever that reason is, or, you know, whatever, maybe those sets of reasons, it could be like more, if you're connected to that, you know, then, sorry, someone on my phone, somebody got to message came through. Sorry about that. I should have muted that. But if you're connected to your purpose, then everything that unfolds in relationship to that purpose, you know, it's divinely meant to be. So, you know, I feel like, okay, you grow as an artist over time, right? You grow because as you live life, and hopefully you learn from what you've been experiencing, right? And that it has an impact on you where you're maturing, you're evolving, you're improving, hopefully, you know, because just because you get older doesn't mean you get better. But if you're committed to your self-improvement, you know, then you will allow life to have a positive impact on you and you'll be getting better, right? So if you're getting better at what you're doing, and you really have principles that you stand on, and you have like a serious like relationship and connection to what you're doing. Like me, I don't feel like, okay, I feel like, of course, as I've been doing music or art or whatever through the years, I've gotten better over time, and just like the more you keep doing things. But I feel like my position as far as my position on music, what I feel music is supposed to do, how the artist is supposed to represent him or herself, like the principles and stuff that I stand on and believe, none of that has changed.
Fire.
None of that has really changed. It's like, I wasn't, you know what I'm saying something completely different in 1994 or 2006 or whatever. Then I mean, you know what I mean? I was in a group called the Polyrhythmatics years ago, right? All right, with some very respectable MCs.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure, I don't know if you know or not, but
I know Shabam Sadiq was in it.
Yeah, right. Shabam Sadiq, exactly. Shabam, Spinner, and Mr. Complex, right? All right. That was many years ago, 2007, something like that. Okay. But I was dropping astrology bars in those songs.
Yeah.
So I haven't really changed. Like I've grown up. I've been shaped by life, but my principles haven't changed. My values haven't really, like, you know, they've evolved to a certain degree. But when I'm saying the things that I believe in, the things I stand for, like my principles, like, no, it hasn't really changed.
Solid. The foundation is solid.
The foundation has been solid. So what I'm saying is that I believe that I've been shaped throughout the years for this particular time we're in right now. I feel like I feel like the world is catching up to what I've always been doing. Okay.
Fire. I love that.
Does that make sense to you?
I do.
Because look, there was a time when you were on Facebook, or there was a time when you were on MySpace or whatever you were on, and nobody was doing posts about Mercury retrograde.
True. Yeah, no, astrology.
Nobody was doing posts about Mercury. Nobody was doing posts on, I don't care whether it's, oh, you're unclear, you don't have clarity in your life, call a tarot reader. That's common now.
That's true.
On like social media. You know what I'm saying?
You can buy the pack at Urban Outfitters, you know.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if I was dropping bars like my Cancerian flow is all water, like baby weight. If I was saying that in 2007, then the world caught up to me.
Let's go. Talk that talk.
Right? The world caught up to me.
Yeah.
So, and that happens. So sometimes you know, it's not so much like you're ahead. You know, you're ahead. So I just feel like that's why I'm still around. I'm not still around just because, you know, I need to take up space. I'm around because I've been prepared and shaped and molded for a time when everybody else was going to finally be able to, resonate with what I've always stood for. Does that make sense?
It does. And real quick, shout out my guy Algorithm C in the building. He's been tapping in with us for a minute. I appreciate the check-in. He's a dope producer out of Los Angeles. So it's an interesting, like, so it's another thing to having, like you were saying, principles or foundations or being tied to the same, like it's the same trunk of the tree and you have new branches coming out, you're growing. But what happens when you stick to yourself and stick to that, everything moves in cycles. And if you're always trying to chase waves, by the time you know it's a wave, you probably have missed it. But if you stand in your square, you stand, whatever you want to say it, you stay on your point in your space, it's going to revolve back around. And if you're doing what you do, yeah, you can try different things, but if you're doing your thing consistently, and you stick it out, like when the time is right, the time will be right, you know? That's how I feel. That's how I feel off what you're saying. So I agree.
Right. If you're a blade of grass in the wind, when the wind blows west, you're going to blow it. You know what I mean? When the wind blows east, you're going to blow east, you know? But like you said, if you have a solid, firm foundation that you stand on, you know, you will be able to withstand, you know, the fluctuation of these trends that are often very fleeting anyway. You know, they don't have any permanence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is true. I appreciate you dropping these gems. I was going to ask if you had any for artists, and you just got into it naturally. So I do appreciate that. I wanted to ask though, are you indie now? Because I know you've been on a number of indie labels over the years. Are you indie now, or are you signed?
I am indie.
Do you, without getting too deep, just because we don't often get to talk to people with like this extensive of a like indie artist career from labels to solo DIY, do you have any sort of like more, I guess we've gotten the mental approach to how you've sustained yourself, but anything like business wise that you've picked up, or how to keep moving forward in this way that you've brought into the present, whether it's for a new artist who's looking to get started and have this type of career, or it's another vet, you know, like yourself who just wants to keep at it. Do you prefer the DIY? Would you rather do the label thing? Like, you've seen a lot of different sides.
Yeah. Well, I feel I'm good. You know, maybe in the past I would have answered the question by saying, just worry about the art. Just focus on making good art. Just make sure you like it. Make sure you're proud of it when you come out of the studio. Like I would, and that's still true. I'm not saying that's not important, but now I feel like if you have the resources to allocate responsibilities to certain people, then by all means, you know, put people who are experts at what they do to work. Take advantage of someone else's expertise. If you can, you know what I mean? If you're excellent at shooting videos, you want to be your own videographer, and then after you get the video footage, you want to edit it because you want to, you know, make sure then you're editing it, and then you want to make the calls to, you know, the press, and you want to do that, and you want to, you know, make sure you have the content, you know, on TikTok, the content on Instagram, and the content, and you're in all these different and you can do that yourself, then by all means, like, do it. But if you can outsource, you know, different responsibilities to very qualified people who are invested in your success, and you know that you're going to get the results that you need as a result of them doing their jobs effectively, then do that. Because as much as you may have, a person may be following me on Instagram or following me on TikTok, and they go, I see your post. As much as you see, I'm not doing everything that I would like to be doing.
Right.
Like, I did not post today, and it was not because I was boycotting social media today. I'm a guidance counselor, you know, as my quote unquote job. So yeah, the job didn't allow me to do that today. So I'm saying if you can bring in business professionals to assist you, I mean, not if it's not necessary. I mean, if you don't have a lot going on to manage, then don't get a manager. You know what I mean? Like, don't like just outsource just because. Just, you know, but if you have a vision for yourself, yeah, bring in other minds that you can align with, and you guys can, like, you know, combine your forces and make it happen. That would be my advice. That would be my advice, because doing music business in 2022 is not even the same as it was in 2016. Which in 2016 wasn't the same as it was in 2012. It's changing so much because of technology. You know, like I heard you speaking earlier, you know, with the former guest, I think HAAWWS was his name, I think, yeah. And you were talking about the whole direct to consumer thing, or maybe it was the second guest. I'm sorry, but I heard you speaking earlier, and you were talking about, you know, the direct to consumer. Like, I've got good music, I want to just drop it in the laps of everyone who fucks with me. You know what I mean? As a fan. And you're like, sometimes that's a smart thing to do, and sometimes it's not a smart thing to do. Depends on various factors, right?
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, that would be my main advice. Like, just get other brains involved in what you're doing. Get smart people involved that can, you know, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why, even when you consider social media, there's a reason why the name that has been given to these innovative folks who generate these ideas and generate just this world of expression, the reason why the title that they've been given is creators. So at the end of the day, the more creative you are, that's important. Like, you can get 1,000 people to work for you, but if you're not, you know, your ideas are not pushing the envelope, you know, you're not really like cutting through because what you're saying or what you're doing is making a difference, then you know, other people are not going to really be able to help you. At the end of the day, it still comes down to what you're generating as a creator. You know, a music creator or whatever, type of, it could be anything. You could be in the world of film, it doesn't matter. It still comes, you know what I mean? It still comes down to the creative force.
You just came full circle to how we started. You know, the world is going to change whether, you know, we're consciously creating it a lot of the time. Like, I do believe you create the life around you, you know, whether intentionally or not. So yeah, what are you creating? I think that's a good question for everyone to ask themselves, like, daily. Like, when you wake up, what am I going to create today? How's this day going to go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, like, because we live in a world now where, you know, the creator, the content creator, so to speak, you know, it's like a real occupation.
Yes.
It's a real occupation. So, you know, if you're not very, like, you're not full of zest when it comes to creating or generating ideas, you're really going to get lost in the sauce out here, because there are people that's all they do all day.
They'll get fired if they don't do it. You know, if you don't have that motivation, like.
Yeah. Oh, you mean people that are hired, that have been hired to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do it. They don't have a job, you know?
I mean, there was a time, you know, when people were sitting around boardrooms having conferences at long conference tables, and they had to hash out marketing strategies and what would be the best, most funny, most eye-opening idea for this commercial. You know, they're trying to come up with Now you don't have to do that, because people make commercials every day, you know, called Instagram posts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And their creativity, a lot of, you know, they're unmatched. You know, it's going to another level now, as far as like what you can really produce for the global community, what you can really bring.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's global. Like, what do you bring to the table, you know? And like you said at the beginning, again, full circle, like, if you're solid in that and you know when you start, or you take the time to figure it out, you're going to be so good in the long run, because it's all going to shape around that. I appreciate you, like, chopping it up with me tonight about all this. we didn't talk much about your music at all, but I know Who We Are is out now. I saw you had a video out with Rusty Jux. You got a lot going on. What do people need to look out for you musically coming their way if they want to tap in? If they heard all this and they're like, I gotta hear these bars.
Well, you know, like like we said, there was a time when people would be like, oh, my EPK, no. Now you can pin post to your profile. So the first thing that people can see when they come to your social media page is whatever you want them to see. So when you come to my Instagram page, the first couple posts you're gonna see on the timeline are music videos or clips of songs that have been released in the last, year, more recent music. And like you said, Who We Are, featuring Havoc from Mobb Deep and featuring Safa, who happens to be my daughter. She is a jazz soul singer who's an artist in her own right. She's, tours with Esperanza Spalding. She sings for Esperanza Spalding, whatever. So that video is pinned to my profile. I did, prior to Who We Are, the single I released was called Stand On It, and that's featuring Rusty Jux from Duck Down, Music. And that video is pinned to my profile. The actual clip that I have pinned there is DJ Premier cutting it up on his show headquarters, when he had his show on Sirius XM. He just recently ended the show this year. So, but I got in before he I got in there before he ended it. So I felt super elated about that. So those posts are pinned to my profile on my Instagram page. But if you're interested in just, hearing other music, I mean, I've released other albums, the Glow EP and the Masters Program and, Half Woman, Half Amazing. If you want to, this music is out there on all digital streaming platforms. So all you have to do is just type my name in, in Spotify, type my name in Google or whatever, you know what I mean? Apple Music. The music is out there. And, follow me, not to sound generic, but follow me on TikTok and Instagram or whatever, because my content, it's pretty diverse. I definitely share my music. And, I share other things as well. Like I said, I'm an astrologer. So if you're interested to know about astrology, not like add water and mix cheesy astrology, but if you're really like interested in it as a real ancient science, follow me, because I do share a lot of content that is astrology based as well. So I hope that inspires people to go to follow me.
And I appreciate two things real quick. I do appreciate, and this is why I shared that on our page. You had the post that said, manifestation. People talk about this. That's not the goal. The goal is actually alignment. And when you're aligned, then you get that. So I appreciated that reminder and that breakdown, because that's all I try to do is just be on the right path and things just start happening.
Yeah. Like one of the, I guess, how people are getting duped. I feel like they're being misled slightly in thinking that manifestation is like, it's something that you have to like consciously do. It is an action, that is representative of something you've done. But when you are in tune, you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? When you're walking the right course, where where you're aligned properly, like you said alignment, when you're aligned properly with what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, your focus is exactly on, your purpose, your agenda, you're zeroing in on just really why you're here. Like, you know what I mean? Your gifts, your abilities, all of that, which is your birth chart, by the way, which is all in your birth chart. Just put it out there. Yeah. Not so shameless plug. But, if you're clear about that, then you don't have to do anything per se. I'm not saying that you have to be a passive non-participant in your life, but when you're focused, you're going to be a participant in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? when you're committed, you know, to yourself and all that you're here to do, you're going to be a participant in your existence. And everything, every element that you need in order to really bring that into fruition properly is going to show up.
100%.
And and then people are going to say, "Oh, how did you manifest that?" No, I didn't. Actually, I don't want to veer off too much, and I don't know how much time we have, but I just want to say that I did a webinar. We did, there's another astrologer that sometimes I collaborate with, and we did a webinar like 2 years ago. It was like, I forget, it was either new moon in Taurus or full moon in Scorpio. I don't remember, but we did a webinar during one of, those new moons or full moons in either Taurus or Scorpio. And it was on manifestation. And what we did was we explained the etymology of the word manifestation. If you look up, not your Webster's dictionary, but if you look up in the etymology dictionary, that tells you like the origins of how these words came about, like from culture to culture through thousands of years. These words, like, they transfer over time. And the etymology of the word, it means to catch by hand. So what that means is that whatever materializes or occurs in physical reality, of course, it happened, it culminated in the metaphysical first, because that's a prerequisite. Things have to occur in the metaphysical realms before they actually happen in the physical, right? So it already happened. You just opened your hands and caught it. It means to catch by hand. That's what it means. So it's not so much about, oh, I'm going to make this happen, or I'm going to, maneuver or, manipulate events to make that happen. No, there are things that are already slated to happen, and you show up at the proper time and place, and you receive those particular things, or they unfold. There's nothing I don't believe I could do to manifest being an NBA player. I just don't feel it would not happen. It's not in my chart. It's not written for me. So we're not manifesting anything that is not already slated to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I do. So I feel like people are being grossly manipulated and misled with these skewed definitions. It's like, I'm 5'3", I'm like 5'3.5", maybe 5'4" sometimes. 5'4", right? There's nothing I could do to manifest being 6 feet tall. No. There's some things you're not gonna change, is what I'm saying.
You might not dunk in your life.
My 3-pointer is crazy. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Water. You know what? I said an NBA player, but my 3-pointer is crazy. I have footage of that. But I guess what I'm saying is that you just can't delude yourself in thinking that you're going to veer off of this divine course that has been set for you. And that's very uncomfortable for people. You can get in like a 20-hour debate about free will versus predeterminism and all those things. You know what I mean? But
yeah, especially in America, we don't like being told that it's not all us.
Exactly.
Without getting too deep into that. But I truly appreciate you taking the time to chat with us tonight. I knew it'd be good. I didn't know how deep we'd get. I appreciate you being willing to go there. I might need to tap in with you and see what you can tell me what I got going on in my life. We'll see. Yeah, right. We'll see. But if people want to do the astrology stuff with you, same thing, at Tiye Phoenix, hit you there.
They can message me, but there is a particular email. Do you want me to type it in the chat?
It's up to you if you want to put it out or if you want them to just DM or whatever is best.
You could just DM me on Instagram. That way, I'll just do it. That's the easiest way, because that way, and
I'll just least resistance.
Yeah, I'll definitely respond. So
all right. At Tiye Phoenix, watch the pin posts, send the DMs. And before I got out, we almost glazed over this. so fire that your daughter is a singer and making moves and you're making records with her. Like, just family music, man, like that's such a gift.
Yeah, I mean, she's been singing on my stuff for a long time. Okay, she's been singing on my stuff for a long time, and she has her own material as well.
Fire.
SAFA is her name.
SAFA. I'll drop that in the chat so we can get that. I'm definitely going to tap in as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate this deeply, and I'll hit you up. We'll talk. Definitely don't be a stranger. Hit me if anything. And
sure.
I look forward to connecting in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad you had me on here.
Absolutely. Peace.
Peace.
Shout out Tiye Phoenix. Closing it strong. Shout out everyone in the comments, in the chat tonight. Kiki.D, Algorithm C. We also have Ramon Redman in there. Shout out y'all making yourselves known. This has been an episode of Outside the Algorithm Live. We do this the final Thursday of every single month, and we also drop new interviews quite regularly. We have one drop in next week, more in-person sit-down interview. You can check all that out at lfod.life, along with exclusive mixes, even music, like I said, interviews, ciphers, and more. lfod.life. We also have a new membership you can check out for free. Not only do our members make this possible, but they enjoy access to full episodes of Outside the Algorithm, exclusive content, and a subscription to our monthly newsletter, so they do not miss a thing. Plus, they get co-production credits on everything and a say in our journey. Shout out the artists who joined us tonight: Tiye Phoenix, Cliff Notes, and HAAWWS. Enjoyed building with all of y'all. Shout out everyone tuned in. If you enjoyed it, please share it with at least one friend. It really is a community effort out here. And last but not least, shout out the whole LFOD fam, all of our new and existing members who continue to make events like this possible. Shout out the team. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Positivity is a better movement. Let us do this. Level up and get into this evolution. Revolutionary math and music. Get us choosing everything but less excuses. Shout out to the kings and queens with everything to lose. They never lose it.